Pierre P. Thomas escaped the streets and built one of the biggest empires in hip-hop. But behind all that success, his life has been filled with controversy, broken relationships, and constant battles. And after suffering a heart attack, P is now fighting his biggest battle yet. Let me catch you up. The day the internet buried, P 21st of August 2026. The hip-hop internet woke up and got hit with a headline nobody was ready for. My Mixtape page posted that Quality Control co-founder Pierre Thomas had reportedly passed away after suffering a heart attack. That post did not walk, it ran. Inside a couple hours, it was sitting at over 1 million views, and the whole game froze. Artists posting candles, fans posting rest in peace, execs blowing up phones trying to find out if the man who signed Migos was really gone. Then the corrections started dropping. Community notes slapped the post. People close to the family started pushing back, and TMZ came through with the real. P had suffered a heart attack and got rushed into the ICU at a hospital in Las Vegas. Family at the bedside. Doctors still figuring out the next move. Dude was alive, but he was in the biggest fight of his life, and the timeline had already thrown dirt on him. Quality Control moved quick to stop the bleeding. The label dropped an official statement. We want to clarify that Pierre P. Thomas is alive and currently hospitalized receiving medical care. We ask that everyone keep P and his family in their thoughts and prayers, and respectfully give them the privacy and space they need during this time. Variety backed it up. WSB-TV in Atlanta ran it as local news, because in the A, this man is bigger than a label boss. He is the founder of the label that launched Migos and Lil Baby. That is city history laying in a hospital bed. The whiplash was nasty. 1 hour the timeline was writing eulogies for one of the architects of Atlanta rap. The next hour it was dragging every page that posted an RIP too fast. And the wild part is how quick it all moved. A real medical emergency turned into content before one person checked one fact. That tells you where the culture is at. It also tells you something about P. When that rumor dropped, a whole lot of folks clicked and believed it without blinking, because for years this man been walking around with a target on his back. As of August 22nd, the latest word is he remains in the ICU under medical care with family present. No update on his condition. Nobody outside that room knows how bad it hit. Nobody knows what the long road looks like. The man who spent a decade telling the world he is a tax-paying citizen and not a street dude is now in a fight that no lawyer, no bag, and no troll job can win for him. And here's why that death rumor spread like it did. P been living on borrowed time in the public eye for years. He survived the streets. He survived parole. He survived the bloodiest stretch of the Atlanta music boom. He survived paperwork getting dropped on his name. He survived one of the loudest voices in the city calling him a rat from a jail cell. Every one of those chapters could have been the end, and every time he came out the other side talking louder than before. So when the Post said he was dead, the streets ain't asked how. They just nodded like the bill finally came due. But the heart attack is only the newest page. The real story of what put P in that ICU and why his name carries so much weight that a fake death could shut down the whole industry starts way before Quality Control existed. To understand why the whole city stopped when his heart did, we got to go back to the southwest side of Atlanta and look at the life P was running from when he first signed his name. On a music contract, from parole papers to the biggest label in the city. P is from the southwest side of Atlanta, and he never hid where he was standing before the office and the plaques. He was in the streets. He did time. He came home on parole and walked straight into a brick wall. He has talked about filling out job applications on parole, knowing every boss was going to see that box and toss the paper. He even admitted that after his first release, he went right back to the block because the legal lane kept telling him no. Here is P in his own words on what made him flip the script.
I was trying to get in the music business as a way to just try to get out of the streets, you know what I'm saying? Get away from that life.
That is the whole motive in one bar. Music was never the dream first. Staying alive was the dream. Music was just the door he could squeeze through. The people around him were saying the same thing, that if he wanted to watch his kids grow, the block was not going to let him. So he made a move a lot of dudes in his spot never get to make. He decided he would rather build something than keep gambling with his freedom. Before Quality Control, there was Dirty Dollar Entertainment. That was a smaller, messier indie label he ran with a partner named Dirty. P calls that era pure ambition with no structure. Young, hungry, and making every street level mistake you make when nobody ever showed you the paperwork side of the business. Dirty Dollar never blew, but it taught him the game from the dirt up. His real business school was his own people. His brother Buck was managing Gorilla Zoe, and P sat close enough to watch how real money moved. He studied what people did right. He also studied what got people killed or locked up, and he filed all of it. So when Coach K pulled up on him in 2013, P was not green. He was a man who already lost once and was not about to lose twice. Them two put roughly $1 million and a full year into building Quality quality control from zero. They signed Migos almost immediately. After that came Lil Yachty, City Girls, and Lil Baby, and the label turned into the machine that changed what Atlanta sounds like. Billboard crowned P and Coach K Hip-Hop Executives of the Year in 2018. A sports agency came next. Then the HYB deal, around $300 million, turned a Southwest Atlanta hustle into a global company. But the Lil Baby story is where you really see how P built this thing. He ain't find Baby at a showcase. He knew Baby from the streets first.
I'm the CEO of Quality Control Music. I'm from the southwest side of Atlanta. Baby was already like family. We already knew each other.
Family, that is the word he uses, and he means it in the street sense before the business sense. Them two came off the same block, moving through the same rooms, way before either one had a plaque on the wall. And P been real open about what kind of rooms those were.
I know Baby from walking in trap houses, and he was in there with things I can't speak about.
Hold on to that bar, because it comes back. P knew Baby when Baby was all the way in. So when P pitched him on rap, he was not selling a fairy tale. He was telling a man who was getting paid every single day to walk away from guaranteed money for a shot that might never hit. And P knew how heavy that ask was, because he made the same trade himself.
For Baby, the sacrifice was giving up fast money that you getting every day in the streets for a rap career that it ain't guaranteed you gonna make it.
None of the early grind was pretty. Once Baby said bet, P put him to work like any developing artist gets work. Small shows, small towns, small checks. P was the one sending him out the door.
I used to be sending Baby out on promo runs and just all the stuff that a developing artist gotta go do.
And Baby was not always feeling it. This was a man who used to count real paper every night, now standing on stages where the whole crowd could fit in a Honda. He would call P and let him know exactly how he felt.
He used to be calling me back like, "Bro, I ain't making no money, it's 3 people in the crowd."
P's answer was the same every time, and it is about the closest thing QC got to a mission statement. Forget the check for now. Get in front of people. Keep showing up.
Don't think about money right now. Just think about putting yourself in front of a crowd of people. Your breakthrough comes from your sacrifice.
That is how P sees himself, the big dog who pulls people out the same world he crawled out of. Other artists tell it the same way. Collision talks about meeting P back when he was a teenager in the apartments before he ever caught a case.
Right before I got locked up, I was like 14, 15. I had, he was trapping back then. I was stopping the gate in apartments.
P calls the whole run breaking a generational curse of poverty and incarceration in his family. He wanted to go from the man who could not get hired to the man who makes millionaires, and he pulled it off. But that same hunger to be respected as a businessman and not a street figure is the exact thing that gets tested in every beef that comes after. To understand why his own city would end up calling him a rat, we got to rewind to a night in December of 2009 when P watched his homie get killed right in front of his face. The paperwork that put rat on his name. The deepest cut in the P story is one word, rat. In Atlanta, that word does not wash off. It follows a man to the grave. And in May of 2023, 1090, Jake put that word on P's name with paperwork attached, according to the documents Jake dropped. It starts on December 8, 2009. P was at a homie's apartment in Fulton County. The homie was Curon Q Dennis. They were on the Xbox, betting on the game. Then a man later identified as Ontario's Keon Stunner McClinton allegedly walked in and shot and killed Dennis. P was standing right there when it went down. What the paperwork says happened next is the part that set the internet on fire. Per the documents, P later cooperated with Atlanta police. He allegedly picked McClinton out of lineup in May of 2010. Then, in a detail that sounds straight out of movie, he allegedly spotted McClinton at Lenox Mall, flagged an off-duty cop, and got him picked up on an outstanding murder warrant. The paperwork painted P as the key cooperating witness, in some versions the only one, whose word helped put McClinton away for 20 years. Now sit that paperwork next to the city P is from. In the boardroom, a man who helps lock up his homie's killer is a stand-up guy. In the streets, that same man just broke the one rule you never break. And P was not some nobody witness anymore. By 2023, he was the most powerful exec in Atlanta rap. Fresh off selling his company for hundreds of millions, that is a big head to paint a target on. P did not go quiet. He went nuclear. He called the incident report fraudulent. He said anybody who really knows him knows his character. Then he dropped the line the whole city still quotes, "I'm a GOAT, don't ever confuse me with a rat." Now take that fraudulent incident report short and stick it up, y'all. I love my freedom, so stop playing with it. He also pointed straight at the motive he saw behind the leak. In his book, this was hate over the $300 million quality control sale. People who could not stomach watching a man off the Southwest side cash out that big went digging for the oldest, dirtiest thing they could find. Under all the insults, there was a real argument, and it is the argument P keeps coming back to every year. He said the streets glorify the violence, but treat any cooperation that stops a killer as the worst sin there is. He said the culture is messed up for living an imaginary street dream, while he was out here actually changing lives. He kept saying he does not speak on the dead. The man who watched his homie bleed out over an Xbox bet was now getting told that helping catch the shooter made him the villain, and that is the contradiction sitting dead center of all of it. P built his whole second life on the idea that he got out. He is the one who told Baby to leave the fast money alone. He is the one who says he is a tax-paying citizen running a business. But the same code he walked away from still got a vote on his name, and that code does not care how many millionaires he made. Whether the paperwork is exactly what Jake said it was, that is still not settled in public. Whether P's cooperation stopped at pointing out the man who killed his homie in front of him, that is not settled either. P never gave a full play-by-play of 2009 and 2010. He only gave denial, defiance, and a middle finger. What really sits in those Fulton County files is one of the things that keeps this story breathing. For 2 years after the paperwork hit, the fire cooled, but it never went out. It was sitting there waiting for the right person to pour gas on it. To understand how this went from an old internet scandal to a threat to quality control itself, we got to look at late August of 2025, when a jail call leaked with Young Thug's voice on it. The call that blew it all up. The rat wound got ripped wide open in late August of 2025. Alleged jail calls with Young Thug on them leaked online. In one of them, Thug was on the phone with Lil Baby, and a voice believed to be Thug reportedly called P a rat, said he sent somebody to the chain gang and told Baby to be careful lining up with quality control. Look at who was on that call. Young Thug is one of the loudest voices the city ever made. Lil Baby is the biggest artist on P's label, and the man P personally pulled out the trap house. And Thug is telling Baby from a cell that the man who made him is a snitch, and he better watch his back. Everything P built with Baby. The promo runs, the 3 people in the crowd, the family talk, all of it was now on the table. Then the money claims hit. Separate reports went around that P had cut the HB deal without properly running it by Lil Baby. On top of that, word was Baby had turned down a $150 million buyout because he wanted P in the room. So you got loyalty, money, paperwork, and street codes all crashing into each other at once, with the future of the label riding on whether Baby believed the man in the cell or the man in the office. P's response was pure theater, and he ain't let up once. He posted AI pictures of Young Thug as a cheese-eating rat. He made it his profile picture so anybody who checked his page saw Thug with whiskers. Then he took it further. He announced a documentary called The Rat that just keep on telling, that he said he would executive produce himself, and he casually said he expected to clear 20 to 30 million telling his side. A man accused of snitching turned the accusation into a business plan. His Instagram story said the quiet part loud. I'm not no street nah. I'm a tax-paying citizen that's running a business and taking care of my family. All the street nas is broke, dead, or in jail. Why do y'all continue to glorify this shit? Street's been dead. Y'all nas gave the city a bad name, and on the actual charge of cooperating, he drew a hard line. I ain't never been in no courtroom on no nah, sat in a interrogation room running nas names. Put them 2 statements side by side and you see the whole P playbook. First, he throws out the court the streets are trying him in. He says the streets are dead. The street dudes are broke or buried, and he refuses to be judged by a dead code. Then he denies the act itself. No courtroom, no interrogation room, no names. Defiance stacked on denial, with a documentary bag sitting on top. But here's the part that should make anybody uneasy. Run it back to that clip from part 2. P told us he knew Baby from walking in trap houses, and that Baby was in there with things P cannot speak on. That is a man admitting he's seen things he chose to keep in the vault. Now his biggest artist is getting warned by a voice from a cell that P talks. The thing P swears he never does is the thing the whole city is being told he did. And the only people who really know are P, Baby, and whoever is sitting on the full uncut calls. The twist is pure Atlanta. The man who told Baby to leave the streets is now getting hit with the street's own rulebook, and the hit is coming from inside the house. Thug and P came up in the same city, fed the same sound, ate off the same scene. Now one is calling the other a rat, and the other is turning him into a cartoon. Whether the full calls say what the leaked pieces suggest, whether the high-B deal really went down behind Baby's back, whether Baby ever believed a word of it, none of that has been settled out loud. What is clear is the price. Every time P wins, he got to fight louder than the last time. Every win comes with a new enemy. And a man who spends years getting called the worst word in his city while running a $300 million company while raising a family is carrying weight that does not show up on any chart. To understand what that weight looks like at the crib and why the man who wanted to see his kids grow ended up in a Vegas ICU, we got to look at the private side of Pierre Thomas. the kids in the heart that finally quit. Run that first clip back one more time. Everybody around P was asking one question. You want to see your kids grow? That was the reason he left the streets. That was the reason he built QC. And the home life he built with that money turned into its own public soap opera, with the same two hungers pulling on him that run through everything else in his story. In 2019, P welcomed 2 kids within weeks of each other. He had a son with Kayla Will in March and a daughter with the model Lyra Galore in April. The problem was the timing and the ring, because at the time he was engaged to Lyra. When Kayla's pregnancy went public and P claimed the baby, posting about it under the name Daddy Shark, Lyra did not stay quiet. She went scorched earth on Instagram stories. She accused P of public versus private double standards, emotional manipulation, and disrespect, and pointed out she had already accepted his other kids in his family. In her eyes, she did her part and he ain't do his. The engagement collapsed in front of the whole internet. The man who wanted to break a family curse was watching his own family fall apart in real time on a phone screen. He kept it moving. By March of 2020, he was linked to love and hip-hop star Tommy Lee, and that one went Instagram official with Rolls-Royce videos. By then, the pattern was easy to read. A powerful man with a heavy bag, moving through intense relationships, handing out houses and Bentleys and everything material, while the emotional side played out in public and usually ended in public. The hunger under all of it is simple, and it is the same one from the first clip. P wants to be a present, responsible father who breaks the cycle he came from. He also wants to live the life that comes with running an empire. Them two wants do not always fit in the same house, and the gap between them gave us the messiest chapters of his private life. The man who can handle 1090 Jake and Young Thug with a middle finger and a documentary deal had a harder time handling what goes on behind his own front door. Now put the whole picture together. Pierre Thomas is one long tug of war between 2 men. There is the dude on parole who could not get a regular job, and there is the dude who sold a label for hundreds of millions. There is the man the streets made, and there is the man the boardrooms made. There is the code that says never tell, and there is the reality of watching your homie die in front of you over an Xbox bet. He spent his whole grown life standing in the middle of them fights, catching shots from both sides and firing back at both, and every one of them fights leaves a mark. The years in the streets, the time inside, the parole applications hitting the trash, building a company off $1 million in a year with no sleep, the paperwork in 2023, the jail calls in 2025, the public breakups, the constant need to be louder than the last accusation. You do not carry all of that for 15 years without your body keeping score. So when the news broke on August 21st, 2026, that P had a heart attack in Las Vegas, the internet did what it always does with him. It jumped straight to the ending. A post announcing his death went viral before anybody confirmed he was gone. The same culture that spent years calling him a rat spent a few hours telling the world he was dead. Then the correction came through, and he was still here, still in the ICU, still fighting. As of the latest reports, he remains in the ICU with his family at his side, and no more details on his condition have dropped. The fake death report did not end his story. It added one more near miss to a life made of near misses. But it also showed how thin that life always was. A man can survive the streets, survive parole, survive paperwork, and survive the biggest rapper in his city calling him a rat, and still get laid flat by his own heart. The biggest questions are still sitting in the dark. What is really in them Fulton County files from 2009 and 2010? What the full uncut jail calls from 2025 actually say? Whether Lil Baby ever doubted him, and most of all, what is going on right now behind them ICU doors in Vegas? P always answered his enemies with money, defiance, and jokes. This time, the only move anybody got is to wait, because at the end of the day, the question from that first clip is the one that matters. Everybody around him asked if he wanted to see his kids grow. He said yeah. He left the streets for it. He built an empire for it. And right now, in a hospital bed in Las Vegas, that is the one thing Pierre Thomas is still fighting for. If you enjoyed this video, click on any of the cards on your screen.